अच्छा जी, सो अच्छा, द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन आई थिंक इज वेरी सिंपल. तुमसे कह रहा है कि डिफाइन प्रेशर. प्रेशर इज फोर्स पर यूनिट एरिया. फोर्स per unit area, right? So, okay, pressure. So, pressure is equals to force upon area, and force is in kg meter second negative 2 divided by meter square. So, kg meter square second, kg meter negative 1 second negative 2. Fine. As a, now, gas flow through the narrow end nozzle of a pipe under line, under certain conditions, the mass m of the gas that flows through the nozzle in a short time is given by this. Okay, blah blah blah. Okay, determine the base unit of C. Okay, so just make C the subject first. So M over T. K is a constant with no unit, so you can ignore it. Density and pressure. Okay, equals to C. Right? You know that mass is equals to mass is in kg. You know that T is in second, I think. Right? Mass flow rate. Okay, so second, and the density is kgms negative 3, and pressure is kg meter negative 1 s negative 3 s negative 2. So yeah. So kg over second, and then under root kg meter per meter cube. Okay, it should be just per meter cube. um and kg meter negative 1 s negative 2. Fine. So simplify कर लेते हैं भाई. kg over s and then under root. So you'll have kg squared. You'll have meter negative 4 and s negative 2. When you root each and everything, you will going to get kg over s and then kg, then meter negative 2 and s negative 1. Okay, so s and s goes off, kg and kg goes off, so you'll be left with just meter squared. Okay, is that clear? आसान सा क्वेश्चन था. अच्छा
So
जी.
you'll be left with m minus 2 or m plus 2?
M plus 2 ना bro, because m minus 2 is in the denominator, so when you shift it in the numerator you'll get m plus 2, right? Clear?
Okay.
चलो आ जाओ.
सर
ज-
अंडर रूट माइनस फोर आपको प्लस टू देगा.
हाँ जी.
अंडर रूट माइनस फोर आपको प्लस टू देगा.
क्यों बे? अंडर रूट माइनस से प्लस थोड़ी करता है. समझ रहे हो ना?
जी.
ओके. आ जाओ जरा रीड कर लो यूसुफ ये क्वेश्चन.
अच्छा. A ball of mass 0.03 kg moved along a curved track as shown in figure 2.1. Ball mass 0.03, speed 1.3, 0.31. The speed of the ball is 1.3 meters per second when it is zero point 0.8 at a height of 0.31. The ball moves down the track and collides with a vertical wall at point B. The ball then rebounds back up the track. It may be assumed that the frictional forces are negligible. Calculate the change in gravitational potential energy of the ball in moving from point A to point B. So gravitational potential energy is mgh.
अच्छा, इन्होंने कहा चेंज निकाल दो, तो चेंज का फॉर्मूला लिखना है. जीपी का चेंज.
Delta H.
यस.
Delta H.
एम जी डेल्टा एच. फाइन, एंड देन
0.03,
0.03. गुड. 0.03.
9.81, and 0.38.
0.31. हाउ मच?
0.091.
0.091. ओके फाइन. सही है. चलो आगे आ जाओ.
So that the ball hits the wall at B with a speed of 2.8 meters per second. Okay. we have change in relative velocity
अच्छा,
and energy.
क्या कॉन्सेप्ट लगाओगे by the way? That
एक
whatever the
मिनट में
change in gravitational potential energy should all should all converted into the kinetic energy,
half
right?
mg square. So
Good.
mgs is equals to half mg square.
So okay, so you can say that 0.091, which is the loss in GPE, should be equal to half m v squared minus u squared. Okay, so आप ये कह दोगे कि भाई the loss in GPE is equals to GPE is equals to the gain in KE, right? And since there is an initial velocity, so you can not ignore the initial velocity as well, right? So half into 0.03, I think 0. हाँ, और into 1 point, अच्छा फाइनल स्पीड हमने निकालनी है. इनिशियल स्पीड हमारे पास है 1.3 स्क्वायर एंड 0.091. ओके, फाइन, सिंप्लीफाई कर लो. 2 into 0.091 divided by 0.03, सही हो गया, प्लस 1.3 स्क्वायर एंड होल थिंग अंडर रूट. हाउ मच?
1 second. 1, 2, 3 plus 1.6 square. Give you 2.78.
कितना?
2.78.
2.78. Okay, so we can round it off to 2.8. Perfect. चलिए आगे आ जाइए.
Okay. The change in momentum of the ball due to the collision with the wall is 0.096 kg per second. The ball is in contact with the wall for a time of 20 meters per 20 ms millisecond. Determine for the ball colliding with the wall the speed immediately after the collision.
Okay,
Okay. So,
change in momentum is given. Okay, so क्या करोगे? V minus
yes.
U, right?
जी.
And the initial velocity जो आपके पास वो है ब्लॉक है, सही है. So initial velocity with which the ball is hitting is mm,
Can you excuse me for a minute?
sorry.
Can you excuse me for a minute? मैं एक मिनट में आ रहा हूँ.
Okay, so 2.8, 2.8, and after the collision it will have some other velocity which we don't know, which we have to find out, but the direction changes, so you have to consider the change in direction with the final velocity. Okay, so 0.096. Okay, um अच्छा जी, is equals to 0.03 times final velocity. अच्छा, if they are saying कि finally it has a positive, um it has a positive velocity, right? So हमें ये नहीं लेना पड़ेगा, so we have to take this as a negative and this as positive, right? क्योंकि they said that the final momentum, the change in momentum is positive, right? So that is why final velocity minus 2.8, and then just solve it.
Sir, will there be any problem if you take it as positive?
Yes, because the direction will be changed. No? Look, they're actually saying that the change in momentum, which should be the change in momentum should be in this direction, right? The change in momentum should be in this direction, right? And they're saying the change in momentum which is to the left is positive, right? So all the velocities to the left should be positive, right? Otherwise वो मैच नहीं करेगा क्वेश्चन के साथ. क्लियर हुआ ना? Yes, Imad.
Sorry, sir, I wasn't listening.
You didn't get it?
No, sir, I wasn't listening. What did you say?
मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि क्वेश्चन के अंदर इन्होंने मेंशन किया है दैट द चेंज इन मोमेंटम इज पॉजिटिव, राइट? एंड द चेंज इन मोमेंटम शुड हैव दिस डायरेक्शन, ओके? बिकॉज जब बॉल कोलाइड होके वापसी आएगी, सो दैट डिसाइड्स द चेंज इन मोमेंटम डायरेक्शन, राइट? सो द चेंज इन मोमेंटम इज टू द लेफ्ट, ओके? So every velocity to the left considered as a positive and to the right considered as a negative. Clear?
Yes.
अच्छा जी, चलो. So ये आ गया. Okay. Now um just minus कर दो.
I'm getting 0.
How much?
There's 0.4.
0.40. Okay, perfect. 0. Okay, perfect. 0.40. If you do acha, by the way, if we do with a positive sign, so 0.096 divided by 0.03. If we consider the final velocity with negative and the initial velocity as 2.8, so that would make, okay, so V become positive and this equals to negative, and then the whole thing and then negative and then this whole thing, okay? So which will add the overall effect. So it will give you the incorrect answer, by the way, right? Clear? Is that clear, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. आ जाओ भाई, आगे आ जाओ. So the magnitude of the average force on the ball.
Okay, so you got 0.4 as the speed, so you multiply that with the mass,
Wait,
then you plus that with zero.
wait, they have given
So,
you the change in momentum, no? So why do you have to do that?
but it's change the momentum network, sorry. So bus divide by time over.
You just need to put in the values in the formula. 0.096 divided by 20 millisecond
So
for the
but they're
contact.
saying due to the collision with the wall, तो मतलब वापस जाने का भी बोलेंगे that.
क्या मतलब?
नहीं मतलब देखें अगर वो बोल रहे हैं कि collision with the wall,
हाँ
तो वो
हाँ.
सिर्फ आने का भी जाने का भी दोनों बोल रहे हैं.
ऑब्वियसली देखो ना, कोलिजन विद द वॉल का मतलब है कि जस्ट बिफोर हिटिंग द वॉल उसकी वेलोसिटी ये, जस्ट आफ्टर लूजिंग द कांटेक्ट विद द वॉल उसकी वेलोसिटी इज 0.4, एंड ड्यूरिंग द टाइम ऑफ कोलिजन दिस इज द ड्यूरेशन ऑफ द कोलिजन, राइट? सो ये सब चीजों को इंक्लूड होता है, राइट?
Okay,
क्लियर?
जी ठीक.
ओके, निकाल दो कितना आ रहा है.
4.8.
4.8.
जी.
ओके, मूव ऑन.
Okay. State whether the collision is elastic or inelastic. और पहले स्पीड क्या है स्पीड एक मिनट से.
इलास्टिक और इनइलास्टिक, ओके. किस किस चीज को देख के कहोगे?
वो when if the speed of approach relative speed of approach is equal to relative speed
ऑफ
of
सेपरेशन.
separation or if kinetic energy is
ओके. So
zero,
you can say that the relative speed of approach and the
approach
separation
is
is
not
not
equal.
equal. So that is why. So आप ये कहोगे कि भाई the relative speed of approach, अबे यार, approach is not equal to, अच्छा, relative speed of approach किस चीज की? Relative speed of approach of ball and wall is not equal to the relative speed of their separation. सही हो गया? So the ball is moving, right? But the wall is not moving. So the wall has a zero velocity. So initially the speed, the relative speed of approach before the collision is 2.8, and the relative speed of separation due to the collision is just zero point 0.4, right? And this is all due to the wall, due to the ball movement. Okay, the wall is not moving, right? So and the two are not equal, so that is why. Fine. आगे आ जाओ, आगे read कर लो.
In practice, frictional effects are significant, so they're actually increasing kinetic energy of the ball moving from A to B is 76 millijoule. Milli and how milli? The length of the track between A and B is 0.6 meters. सर एक क्वेश्चन है ये मिलीजूल है मेगाजूल है
मिलीजूल
मिलीजूल
मेगा
ना
मेगा विद द कैपिटल एम ओके
ओके तो बस यहाँ पे ये होगा that you get the work done so 76 into 10 to the power minus 3 minus
ओके
0.3 0.6
वाई 0.6
which is the height because you're getting mgh now right?
तो एमजीएच में फिर ये लगा लो ना ग्रेविटेशनल पोटेंशियल एनर्जी लगा लो 0.091 राइट because
Yeah.
at this point you'll have the
Oh, okay, okay.
gravitational potential energy plus the kinetic energy at point A, right? And but they're
Hmm.
saying the change in um okay the actual increase in the okay so the actual increase is given, okay, so there will be some amount of frictional force that will also be there, so आप कर लोगे 0.091 determine the friction, use your answer in A to determine, okay, so as 0.091 which is the gravitational potential
Minus
energy का loss
0.07.
minus 0.076, right, or 76 exponent negative 3, right?
Yes.
Okay,
But it give
Sir,
it
is
equals to F into D.
F into D. Yes. Yes, Imad, what you were saying?
0.076 the kinetic energy?
The change in kinetic energy. Yes, this one. Okay. And then you can just divide it with
0.6.
0.6. Okay, to get the force. अच्छा,
Negative
by the way,
0.025.
sorry, 0.025. अच्छा, by the way, they're giving you 2 marks for that. So just write the formula for work done as well. Work done is equals to force times distance. Okay. And also write the expression that relate this thing, that the loss in GPE should be equal to the um, gain in KE plus the work done against the friction force, okay, or against the resistive force, right? And then solve, then show the solution. Okay, clear? चलो,
तो एक
हो गया.
क्वेश्चन है आप W इक्वल्स टू एफ एस कब लिखते हैं इसके अंदर
ये एफ एस ही होना चाहिए, डी नहीं होना चाहिए. सही है. Basically, S in AS level physics in Cambridge board, S is used to refer the displacement, okay, and D is used to refer any random distance, okay. So that is why since in the work done you have to use the force and the displacement, both are vector quantity, so you have to write S, right? And जब आप moment देखते हो, so moment के अंदर you have to say force and then you have to put the cross multiplication sign, not the dot sign, okay, and then D, okay, that shows the perpendicular distance. Clear? So this cross sign basically shows the perpendicular nature of the distance, okay, and D is just the distance, okay. So that's it. Fine. चलो आगे आ जाओ भाई. Irfan, please read the question.
Uh,
Yes, where are you?
so are you showing it? I can't see the question.
What?
Yeah, okay, fine. State the two conditions for an object to be in equilibrium.
Yes. What are those?
Uh, uh,
Resultant force should be zero. You are
no,
lagging, I think.
wait.
Should be zero. And resultant moment should be zero. Okay. Yes. Now please move on. Yes, हो या नहीं हो, कहाँ हो? अच्छा, इमाद आप रीड कर लो, इमाद.
A
मुझे
uniform
बता रहे
beam
हैं
AC.
क्या कह रहे हो?
अब ये कॉलिंग
नो नो, इमाद को बोल रहा हूँ.
A uniform beam AC is attached to a vertical wall at end A. The beam is held horizontal by a rigid bar BD as shown in figure 3.1. The
Okay.
beam is of length 0.4 meters and weight W. An empty bucket of weight 12 Newton is suspended by light metal wire from end C. The bar exerts a force on the beam of 33 Newton at 52 degrees to the horizontal and the beam is in equilibrium. Calculate the vertical component of the force exerted by the bar on the beam.
Hmm. Okay. So the vertical component would be this will be the horizontal and
Sir, sine 5233 sine 52.
साइन क्यों पक्की बात है साइन
Wait, closest. So, sir, I will do trigonometry. I don't know.
ओके
It's my method.
अच्छा अच्छा सॉरी सॉरी
सर आप
ओके
ट्रायंगल नीचे क्यों बना रहे हैं? आप वहां क्यों नहीं बना रहे ऑन द लाइन?
कहाँ पे यहाँ पे
आप ट्रायंगल जो बना रहे हैं आप उस तरफ जी वैसे क्यों नहीं बना रहे?
यार उसकी वजह ये कि यहाँ पे हमें मोमेंट को देखना है ना मोमेंट मींस के आपको परपेंडिकुलर फोर्स चाहिए नॉट फ्रॉम द पिवट बट फ्रॉम दिस पॉइंट राइट सो दैट्स व्हाई वरना तुम्हें
ओह,
मे भी कंफ्यूजन होगी कि अच्छा तुम बोलोगे कि भाई यहाँ पे फोर्स आ रही है तो तुम बोलोगे कि भाई मोमेंट ही नहीं होगा फिर तो ये पिवट के ऊपर लग रही है
So, so is the answer 33 sine 52?
33 sin 52 yes 33 sin 52 okay how much 33
26.004.
36.0 okay 36
No, not
fine
Sir, 26.
6.
26 26 okay 26 okay let's move on
By taking moments about A, calculate the weight W of the beam. So
okay
use the moment, clockwise moment and anti-clockwise moment.
okay so आप कह दोगे कि भाई sum of clockwise moment should be equal to the sum of anti-clockwise moment right from point A right and so point A is there okay so you have weight that produces the moment in this direction okay you have the bucket produces a moment in this direction okay and you have the force from the rigid board produces the moment in an anti-clockwise direction okay acha ji so Imad can you tell me the distance of the weight from the pivot
So does it say uniform?
it says yes
So it's 0.20.
0.20 okay so W times 0.2 okay and about the bucket
Um, so 0.40.
okay 0.4 okay and about okay this will be equal to with the force 33 sine okay that's 26 and it will be 0.30 right so mm, okay just substitute so 26 into 0.3 minus 12 into 0.4 and then divided by 0.2 equals to W. How much?
So 15 Newton.
15 Newton. 15, 26, 15. Okay, fine. Let's move on.
The metal of the wire in B has Young modulus 2 exponent 11. Initially, the bucket is empty. When the bucket is filled with paint of weight 78 Newton, the strain of the wire increases by 7.5 exponent negative 4. The wire obeys Hooke's law. Calculate for the wire the increase in stress due to the addition of the paint.
Okay. Which formula you use?
So F L over E.
Wait, why? There's
No,
stress
wait,
over
it's
strain, no?
stress.
That's equal to force over extension, right?
Sir,
No.
same चीज है ना?
Abe, nahi. Like if you write FL over AE, um, so the problem is The problem will be you don't have the diameter, you don't have the area. Okay, you have the length. No, you don't have the length. Okay, the L over E is given, by the way. Okay, but you have okay, you don't have the area, by the way, so you won't use, or you won't be able to use this formula. Okay. But okay, so that's why. So instead of that, since you have to find out the stress now, so just use this formula, right? Clear, guys? Is that clear? And the strain is
Yeah.
7.5 exponent negative 4. Okay, how much?
Sir, 1.5 exponent 8.
1.5 exponent 8. Okay, now the diameter. Guess what you do for the diameter?
Sir, I think it's 1.5 because it says 150 exponent 6 in calculator.
150 exponent, हाँ सही है. Check कर लो ना. Yes. Okay. Now, what will you do for the diameter?
Sir, now we can use FL over E. No, wait,
F
still not
L.
because we don't have area. Sir, you
Yes.
use the same thing. Strain.
Strain.
Mhm.
You use the
Sir,
formula
you
for
use
the
the same
stress.
formula.
Stress formula. F over A, right? And you have the stress from the previous part, so you can use that. And you have the force that is 78 Newton. 78 newtons, okay? And you know that area is basically pi d square over 4, okay? Just do the cross multiplication. So d square over 4 will be taken to that side. 78 divided by pi times 1.5. Acha, that is exponent 8 also, okay? Exponent 8, okay? And times it by 4, times it by 4, and under root the whole thing, under root the whole thing, okay? So, how much?
Sir, 8.13 negative 4 exponent negative 4.
8.13. Okay, 8.1 exponent negative 4. Fine. Let's see. Perfect. Okay. Irfan, now try this one. Yes, Irfan.
Okay. State diffraction of the wave. So diffraction is spreading of the wave and it passes through a gap or
Okay. So you are saying spreading of the wave after passing through. Either you can say the edge, not the gap, okay? The edge or the slit, okay? Or the aperture. Okay. Move on.
So you can ask one question. What did you get the answer for diameter?
Sorry, for
Diameter का आंसर क्या मिला था आपको?
पिछले वाला?
जी से सही से
Okay. Yes, please move on, Irfan.
an arrangement demonstrating the interference of light is shown in figure 4.1. The wavelength of light from the laser is 580 nanometer. The separation of the slits is 0.41 millimeter. The perpendicular distance between the double slit and the screen the
Okay.
cap. Okay. Coherent light slits and an interference pattern is observed. Central bright fringe is produced at point X. The closest dark fringes to point X are produced at point Y, and the
Okay.
distance XY is 2.0 millimeter. Why a bright friend is produced at
at x. Yes. क्या होगा इसका आंसर? You have to, everybody have to tell the answer. Okay, Irfan, what do you say?
so could you go back to the diagram?
Yes, it is. I am on the diagram.
आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही।
अबे मैं कुछ बोल ही नहीं रहा. I'm waiting for the Irfan to reply, but Irfan is not there. पता नहीं कहाँ है.
I'm not sure. It's
Not sure.
something. It's something to do with like so
Superposition, yes.
a way. I think it's super.
अच्छा जी, यूसुफ आप क्या कहते हो?
Constructive interference occurs and lambda amplitudes are added.
एन लैम्डा क्यों भाई?
And lambda होता है ना जब constructive interference होता है.
अबे लेकिन एन लैम्डा तो तब बोलोगे ना जब कोई भी रैंडम पॉइंट हो. यहाँ पे तो एक स्पेसिफिक पॉइंट दे रखा है विद अ सेंट्रल ब्राइट फ्रिंज, सो यू आर नॉट अलाउड टू से एन लैम्डा.
So zero phase difference and zero path difference.
वेरी गुड. यस, यू हैव टू स्पेसिफाई दैट. अगर उसने जनरली पूछा होता कि कोई भी रैंडम मैक्सिमा के लिए बता दो, सो फॉर अ रैंडम मैक्सिमा यू से दैट एन लैम्डा फॉर द पाथ डिफरेंस एंड 360 टाइम्स एन फॉर द फेज डिफरेंस, एंड फॉर द डिस्ट्रक्टिव इंटरफेरेंस यू से दैट एन प्लस 1/2 lambda for the path difference, and 2n minus 1 times 180 for the phase difference for the destructive interference. But over here they are basically specifying you the central brightest fringe. So for that you have to be specifically address those two things, right? Clear?
Sir, do we have to write like n plus half lambda, or we can just write values like 0.5 lambda, 1.5 lambda?
If like if they're asking for the specific value, like if they're saying about y, okay, then you can give the specific value, right? For y there will be 1/2 lambda, right? And for 180 the phase difference will just be 180, right? So you can write that, okay. But if they're asking the general question that if there is a constructive interference at any point, you don't know the order number, right? So then you have to code this thing, right? Clear?
Okay, sir.
So हम यहाँ पे कह सकते हैं कि भाई two wave from two fringes, two slits meet in phase with path difference of 0 lambda and phase difference of 0 degrees. So there is constructive interferences. Okay. अच्छा जनाब. Okay, is that clear guys? Irfan, is that clear?
Yeah.
अच्छा इसकी ना एक मिनट इसकी मैं एग्जामिनर रिपोर्ट शो करता हूँ. एक मिनट दे दो. वी आर डूइंग अक्टूबर, क्योंकि इसमें शायद इन्होंने जो ना एक दो चीज़ें मेंशन करते हैं. 22 वी आर डूइंग क्वेश्चन नंबर diffraction. Okay. So the first part, candidate need to give the precise wording statement. Diffraction occur when the wave passes through an aperture or passes around an obstacle. It is incorrect to refer the wave passing through an obstacle, passing around an obstacle. Okay. The wave should be described as spreading. Okay. The term bending should be avoided as it could be interpreted as refraction. Okay. Is that clear? Irfan, you I think told the incorrect definition, or maybe according to them. Okay. The second one was many candidates did not fully understand the physics behind the production of the fringe pattern due to the double slit interference. It was insufficient to state only that the phase part differences and lambda. Yusuf सुन रहे हो ना? Or that the phase difference is 360 n, right? Because there is a general, this is a general condition for any bright fringe rather than for the particular condition, right? Clear? This is what I told you guys. Okay, fine. Let's move on. In an M for each slit to point Y. Point Y. Okay. Basically, they are asking for the path difference from each slit to point Y. Okay. So you know that the path difference from each slit to point Y is just lambda by 2, right? Now you have to be specific. You can quote the values, right? And the lambda has a value of 580 over 2. कितना आता है भाई? How much?
290.
290 nanometers.
So
Fine.
So ये समझ
Sorry.
तो ये वाला
isn't
समझ
it like
नहीं
a dark? So shouldn't it be like n plus one or two into lambda?
Yes. So n is 0 because there isn't any first bright fringe produced, right? So n is 0. So just 1 over 2 left, and when you multiply it with lambda, you'll get 1 lambda by 2. Clear? The central
Oh,
bright fringe
है.
has 0 nth number, okay? This is considered as 0, okay? And then you consider this as the first bright fringe, then second, then third, and so on. Clear? Okay. यूसुफ आप क्या कह रहे हो? यूसुफ आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही थी.
तो ये आप हाफ कैसे ले रहे हैं मतलब एक दो हाफ है ना बिकॉज दो
कहाँ पे दो हाफ है?
डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है ओ बिकॉज दो बिकॉज आपके पास y टू z दो हाफ होगा ना बिकॉज एंटीनोड टू एंटीनोड अगर करें तो फिर हाफ लैम्डा बनेगा
ओए,
नो टू नॉट आई मीन
ऐसा नहीं कह सकते हो आप. कम ऑन ब्रो. Look, y is the dark fringe, right? Okay. And there isn't the first order created yet, right? Clear? So मैंने जनरल फॉर्मूला लिखा पाथ डिफरेंस का, दैट इज n plus 1 over 2 lambda. Okay. And n refers the number of the bright fringe generated. Okay. So यहाँ पे भी तो कोई bright fringe नहीं आया तो जीरो ले लोगे n को, right? And plus 1 over 2 वैसे ही आ जाएगा और आप उसको सॉल्व कर लोगे, right?
और x का tan जीरो ही है तो बस खत्म हो गया
हाँ, एन जीरो है, लैम्डा आपके पास जो है वो 580. अगर लेट्स से यहाँ पे आ जाता ब्राइट फ्रिंज, ओके, एंड द फर्स्ट ब्राइट फ्रिंज यहाँ पे आ जाता, और फिर उसके बाद यहाँ पे आता डार्क डार्क फ्रिंज, राइट? देन यू कंसिडर 3 over 2 लैम्डा, राइट? क्लियर? Because the first bright fringe is created and now you are working for the second dark fringe, right? Clear?
यस
Okay, fine. चलिए, let's move on. कौन है भाई इरफान? कहाँ? Just calculate the distance d. The distance d. Okay. So x is equals to lambda d over s, and so display lambda d over a हम कहते हैं basically. So a is 0.41 exponent negative 3, okay, and lambda is 580 exponent negative 9, and d is to be found, I think. D is to be found, yes. And okay, x is basically the distance between the two bright fringe, okay? And the distance between a bright fringe and a dark fringe is given as 2 millimeters, so you have to times it by 2 for the bright fringe, okay, to occur. So it will be 4 exponent negative 3, okay. Just solve it.
So the formula is lambda is equal to ax over d,
Why
right?
four?
The
Why
differential.
not two?
Okay, बता दूं. Bro, the formula is x is equals to lambda d over a. Okay.
Okay.
अच्छा जी. And now मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि इन्होंने आपको 2 मिलीमीटर दिया हुआ है from the central bright fringe to first dark fringe, right? But over here in the formula, the x refer the distance between the two bright fringe, okay? And you know that the light is a coherent light, which means after exactly further 2 millimeter there will be a bright fringe formed, right? This is what the coherent light do, कि वो आपको consistent pattern बना के देगी, right? So after exactly 4 millimeter from the central bright fringe there will be the first bright fringe form, okay? Clear? Is that
Oh,
clear?
please.
And that is why we have to consider 4 millimeter, not two. Okay, calculate कर दो कितना आ रहा है.
So 2.8.
2.8, okay. 2.8, fine. इरफान आ गया जो इरफान.
The intensity of the light passing through the two slits was initially the same. The intensity of the light through one of the slits is now reduced. Compare the appearance of the fringes before and after the change of intensity.
Yes. What will you say? देखो, if they're asking for the appearance, so yeah, so you have three thing to mention, okay? The first thing is their separation, okay?
See?
The separation, okay? The second thing is the brightness, and the third thing is the darkness, okay? Will the separation remains the same, or will it change? Will the brightness remain the same, or will it change? Or will the darkness remain the same, or will it change? Right? ये तुमने बताना है तीन चीजें, right? So yes, क्या कहोगे? Yes, what will you say?
Mm.
So any idea?
So this brightness is bright trend.
Sorry, brightness?
By by brightness, what do you mean? Like the central bright trend,
No, every bright
central
fringe,
maxima?
every maxima, the brightness of every
Every
maxima.
so it'll be so the thickness of the maxima will be reduced, right? Because the intensity of the light is reduced.
Okay,
So
good.
actually, I'm not really sure.
Okay, fine, that's correct. What about the darkness? Yes. Will it affect the
The dark
darkness?
fringes will have a greater thickness. Thickness will
Will the darkness increase or decrease?
increase.
The darkness increase, okay? It won't. Basically, it decrease. Like the dark fringe become bright, okay? And what about the separation?
Separation of the
The separation between
bright
the two
and dark.
fringes. Yes, you can consider any.
Mm,
Yes, the separation remains the same, okay? Acha, uh, Imad and
will
Yusuf,
decrease. I'm not sure.
no, they remains the same. Imad and Yusuf, do you have any idea about this part? It confuses a lot of the student.
Sir, what you said is correct.
अबे वो तो मेरे को ही पता है. But like, do you have any other opinion? Like ये नहीं होना चाहिए, ये होना चाहिए.
एक क्वेश्चन है.
हाँ.
अगर यहाँ पर इंटेंसिटी, मतलब अगर इंटेंसिटी वो रिड्यूस कर रहे हैं, तो एम्पलीट्यूड फिर ज्यादा होगा ना?
कम होगा ना
फिर
भाई.
डार्कनेस कम नहीं होगी. बिकॉज
रीजन क्या?
आई आई इज इक्वल टू ए स्क्वायर होता है ना, तो फिर 1/a कर देंगे उसको.
ओए, 1/a क्यों कर रहे हो? So if you're reducing the intensity, so amplitude will also reduce now directly. No?
Oh, अच्छा सही 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 मैं
सही हो गया?
बैच रिपोर्ट हाँ
Look, because separation of the fringe depend upon these things, lambda d over a. Okay, you are not changing any of the things, so the separation remains the same. Okay, सही है. Separation remains the same. This is the first thing. Okay, now the second thing is the bright fringe become brighter. Okay, now the bright fringe become less bright, and the dark fringe become bright. Okay, क्योंकि previously जो bright fringe बन रही होगी, that is basically in the result of the superposition of the two wave having the same amplitude, right? Now I'm using the different color, but they should be the same color, right? Now after reducing the intensity from one of the slit, um, they will appear like this. Okay, they will appear like this. Okay, they'll appear like this. So when you draw the resultant from the first one, the resultant will be exactly doubled like this. Okay, but when you draw the resultant for the second one, it will be lesser because you have one amplitude greater and one amplitude is smaller, so it will account to a smaller maximum amplitude, right? So the second point you say will be um, the brightness of the bright fringe decreases. Okay, this is the second point. Okay, now for the darkness, previously since the both amplitude were exactly same, right? So the destructive interference causes no light to appear on the screen, right? There will be straight line, nothing, dark spot, right? But now, since you have reduced one of the intensity, right? So like this, one of the intensity is reduced, right? So this will cause the resultant amplitude to be somewhat like this. Okay, so since it has some amplitude, so it will produce some bright spot in place of dark, right? So you can say that for the last point, you can say that the darkness the darkness of dark spot will be reduced. Okay, clear, guys? Is that clear? Yes. Imad, Irfan, Yusuf, everyone.
yeah
Okay. Yusuf, जरा read कर लो please.
eight Kirchhoff's second law
Hmm. क्या होता है भाई? Second law means the voltage law,
second law
right?
sum of currents into oh
ओए.
sorry Bharat yeah
Is
the
it a
sum of EMFs is equal to the sum of PDs in a closed loop.
Okay. Sum of EMF should be. Irfan, what you're saying should be sum of PD um across
Closed
the
loop.
components in the closed loop. In the closed loop. अच्छा. By the way, loop.
Okay.
मैंने वो नहीं देखी है, इसकी एग्जामिनर रिपोर्ट दिखानी है, पिछले वाले पार्ट की भी और इसकी भी. अच्छा जी. So candidates, acha, previously the correct symbol equation was usually given. The value for the fringe width was often substituted as 2 millimeter, which is only half the correct value. Okay, you so समझ हो ना? There were a significant number of power of 10 error made. Okay, fine. Candidate need to explicit about which fringes they were describing. Simply reference to the fringe in the question would mean either dark fringe or bright fringe. Okay, so you have to mention about the bright fringe and about the dark fringe explicitly. Okay, some candidate understood that the bright fringe would get darker, but very few also realize that the dark fringe would get brighter. When candidates are asked to compare, they should give any similarity as well as any difference. In the case कैड mention, okay fine. अच्छा जी, क्वेश्चन 5 के अंदर a precise statement of the law was needed. Common mistake include referring to just electromotive force rather than the total electromotive force. Okay, so you have to say some of the electromotive force. Okay, in a closed circuit, referring to just potential difference rather than the total potential difference in a closed circuit. Okay, the weakest candidate sometimes state the Kirchhoff's law. Okay, fine, clear हो गया? Clear हो गया? So this word is important and this is also important, right? Clear. चलो आगे आ जाओ.
अच्छा, the potential difference was possible. A battery connected in parallel with two lamps A and B as shown in figure 5.1. The battery has electromotive force 6.8 volts and internal resistance R.
Okay.
The IV characteristics of lamps A and B are shown in figure 5.2. The potential difference across the battery is 6 volts. Show that the current in the battery is 0.4 using figure 5.2.
क्या करेंगे भाई?
अच्छा, 6 volts using figure 5.2.
6 volt पे लाइन कैसे दें? Right? Like
लेकिन
this.
0.4 तक पहुंच रहा है ना.
एक ये आ जाएगा and then the other one would be this one, right?
Okay.
So 2.4, 0.24, 24 and 0.26. Okay. So when you add them, so 0.24 plus 0.26, 14, sorry, 14 will give you 0.40. Fine. अच्छा, by the way, they're saying the show that thing, तो मैं ये check कर लेता हूँ कि the simplest way to calculate the answer was to obtain from the graph each of the lamp at this, then add this to current. Okay, a common error was to obtain each of the lamp either at 6.8 or at 8. Okay, some can calculate the answer by more indirect method involving the graph of find individual resistance and then use external resistance. अच्छा वो भाई साहब बहुत लंबा हो गया. तो ये खैर चलो. So just okay, fine. Yeah, if you want to write some more thing because it's a show that question, so you have to say some of the things that um in lamp A lamp A um at 6 volts current is 0.1614 and in lamp B at 6 volt the current is 0.26. Okay, just say that and then add both of them, right? Now they're saying calculate the internal resistance. What do you do, Yusuf?
Okay, the formula is E is equals to I R plus R. So 0.4 तो आपको मिल गया.
Hmm?
So I think first you take the each of the resistances, then you do the formula in which you
But
take
why?
the total resistance पैरेलल
Hmm.
में लेके उसको R करके फिर प्लस R फिर उसको बस सब्स्टिट्यूट करके आंसर नहीं आएगा.
अबे इतना मुश्किल क्यों कर रहा है बे? Look, um, okay. They're saying the potential difference across the battery terminal is 6 volt, which means that out of 6.8, a 6 volt drop across these 2 points. So 0.8 volt basically the voltage loss across the internal resistance. Getting? Yes, Yusuf. Okay. So
Okay.
you have the voltage, you have the current, you can find out the voltage. Okay. So voltage loss can be found using 6.8 minus 6. Okay. That will give you 0.8. Okay. And then use V equals to IR, and voltage is 0.8, current is 0.4, and you'll get R as 0.2. Clear? Sorry, not 0.2, 2.0. 2.0. Fine. आगे आ जाओ भाई.
तो एक बार दिखा सकते हैं वो वाला
कहाँ पे? क्वेश्चन
जो आपने ऊपर दिखाया था जी?
ये.
नहीं नहीं, जो आप अभी जो आपने लॉस वाला दिखाया 6.8 माइनस 6।
हम्म. ब्रो, यहाँ पे 6 ड्रॉप हो रहा है, राइट? उन्होंने कहा टर्मिनल पोटेंशियल डिफरेंस इज 6, राइट? यानी फ्रॉम द बैटरी, यानी आउटसाइड द बैटरी यू आर जस्ट गेटिंग 6 वोल्ट आउट ऑफ 6.8, right? So which means के 0.8 should be lost across the internal resistance, or should be lost across somewhere, so that the output voltage is lesser, right? बस ये मैं कह रहा हूँ.
So E is equals to IR plus TPD
E is equals to IR plus.
plus TPD।
दूसरा और बोल, दोबारा बोलो.
फॉर्मूला नहीं, मेरा फॉर्मूला क्या होगा इसका?
इसका इसका किरचॉफ लॉ से अगर आप फार्मूला बनाना चाहो तो आप बना सकते हो कि इक्वल्स टू वोल्टेज ड्रॉप, यानी द सम ऑफ ईएमएफ शुड बी इक्वल टू द वोल्टेज ड्रॉप अक्रॉस द लैम्प्स, राइट? द लैम्प्स प्लस the voltage drop across the internal resistance R. Okay, this is a simple formula, right? So out of 6.8 volt, 6 volt is getting drop across the lamp, okay? And you have to find out the voltage loss across internal resistance. So which is what you do. 6.8 minus 6 equals to VR, V of the small internal resistance. Okay, clear? This is the formula. सही हो गया ना?
जी।
चलो. Now आगे आ जाओ भाई. The ratio of the resistance of the lamp A over the resistance of the lamp B. Okay. Do we have to find out using the gradient, or can we do the other way?
I think we can do that
Other way? And the other way would
because
be V over R, V over I divided by V over I.
yeah,
Yes.
जी,
V and V
yes,
remains the same because it is in parallel, right? And this is A, this is B, right? So IB over IA would be your answer. So the current in the lamp B is 0.26. The current in the lamp A is 0.14. Okay, just calculate the value.
1 second. 1.857।
1.86, 1.9 ले लेते हैं. 1.9. Fine. 1.9. Perfect. Okay. आगे आ जाओ. The total power produced
Remember
by
the
the
power
battery. Hmm. Which formula you use?
I square R or P is equals to
ओए,
EI,
VI कर लो. VI, just VI.
EI given.
सही है.
So
So
6.0.4,
yes, since they're asking for the battery, so you have to use 6.8 times it by 0.4. Yes. How much?
2.72, 2.7,
2.75 to 2.8. The
no,
efficiency.
2.72
अच्छा, 7 to 1. सही है. Okay. The efficiency of the battery. Yes.
efficiency, total input over
ओए.
no total output, useful output
Hmm.
over total input into
Okay.
100। use कितना किया इसका?
अच्छा, you calculated the input power, okay? Total power
Yes,
produced by the battery is 2.7. Fine.
तो बस
Fine.
TPD से कर देना माइनस नीचे,
एक
or
मिनट.
not।
So 2.7 is the total input power, right? अच्छा, आप क्या कह रहे हो? आउटपुट कैसे निकालोगे?
मतलब 0.8 मतलब 6 पे करके तो आपको मिल जाएगा ना, लाइक जो आपका
तो
वो आ रहा
माइनस
है
करना
6
पड़ेगा फिर उससे.
माइनस जी 6.6 माइनस
नहीं.
6.8 you get 0.
अबे 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 अबे, डायरेक्ट इजी वे से करो ना, इतना मुश्किल क्यों कर रहे हो ब्रो? You know the potential drop across the two lamp, okay? That is 6 volt, and you know the current in them, that is 0.4. Okay, just multiply 6 with zero point 0.4, and you'll get the useful input power. That's it. Clear?
So what about the internal resistance?
Internal
Won't that
resistance
be
will account in the waste power. Okay, so you cannot consider that. Okay, if you consider the internal resistance, then you have to subtract the power dissipated at the internal resistance with the total power to get the useful power. Clear?
so, sir? Whenever we are finding efficiency, we will not take like internal
Yes,
resistance
yes.
into account.
Internal resistance basically considered as the power wastage. Okay, so 6 into 0.4. यूसुफ समझ रहे हो?
जी
into 100 निकाल दो, कितनी आ रही है?
वो 88.25
88,
88.24
89 कर सकते हैं
0.25
या 88 रहने दें?
percent.
88%. Okay, fine. That's correct. Okay. Last question. Leptons and hadrons के बीच में क्या difference है? Anyone?
Sir,
Hadron has
fundamental
3
particles.
Leptons has one difference. Okay, leptons, hadrons are made up of the quarks.
Internal
Okay,
structure.
internal structure good. And they have under the influence of a strong force. So yeah,
Sir, what about fundamental particles?
the fundamental particle are leptons.
Yeah, can't we say that?
Like what will you say?
Like lepton is a fundamental particle and hadron doesn't have.
Yes, hadron
I mean,
is a non-fundamental particle.
yeah.
Okay, so you can say that, and then ओके सो आगे आ जाओ भाई. ये अच्छा जी, पहले यहाँ पे अबे यार ये पेन ही नहीं चल रहा, पता नहीं क्या हो गया. सो लेप्टॉन इज फंडामेंटल पार्टिकल एंड hadron is non-fundamental. Okay, non-fundamental. Okay, अच्छा जी, proton
What if we write about the
force.
quarks
You can say
and
that,
hadrons
yes.
and
You can say that the leptons are under the influence of weak force and the hadrons are under the influence of strong force. Okay, let's see if they're accepting or not. Hadrons are non-fundamental, leptons are fundamental. Hadron made up of a quark, lepton not. A strong force interaction acting on the hadron. Yes, you can write all the 3 points. Clear? Okay. So the proton is decaying into neutrons, so there will be beta plus formed, 0 and 1, and a neutrino will be formed. Okay. Say the name of the interaction. So you know that the weak nuclear force causing this. Okay. Weak nuclear force.
Weak is really होता है like the
Sorry.
weak is weak important in this one.
Yes, because there is also a strong nuclear force that hold the nucleus together. So if you don't write, if you just write the nuclear force, let me show you. Okay, वो except वो क्या मार्किंग में क्या कह रहे हैं. Okay. Look, the second part says, uh, the part of the question required only a simple recall to the knowledge. Most common error was just to state the nuclear force. Okay. Yusuf, clear. Without referring to the weak other comment, incorrect answer include beta decay and a strong nuclear force. Okay, so you have to say the weak nuclear force, right? Only the nuclear force won't give you mark, right? Okay, now state the three quantities are conserved in this decay. Okay, can anybody tell me?
Sir, charge.
Oh, very good. Charge, because initially you have the positive charge on the proton and finally you have the beta particle, the beta positive that has the same charge. Okay. Any other thing?
Sir, proton number.
No. Proton number is basically decreased by one, but you can rather
Sir, how
say,
there is one,
huh?
there's one there and there's one in this
Way.
side in the.
That is the charge now. That is not the proton number. But this, look, this is one here, but ये जो charge का है ये, right? Proton number is not conserved. Nucleon number is conserved, right? Nucleon number conserve है. सही हो गया?
Sir, momentum.
Very good. Nucleon number is conserved, right? Momentum is conserved.
So in beta minus, proton number is conserved,
No,
right?
no, 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 no. Proton number
No.
decreases by one there, right? देखो दोनों के अंदर न्यूक्लियन नंबर will always be conserved in beta decays, okay? But proton number changes in beta positive and negative both, right? Clear?
Okay.
अच्छा जनाब, चलो आ जाओ भाई. Of the proton to show, okay, you have to show, so proton contain three quarks, okay, two up,
Two up and one down.
one down, good. And you can just show um 2 plus 3. Acha, you know that one up, since they're asking for the show that question, so that is why you have to write each and everything, right? So that it won't make you any sense of like incompleteness, okay? And one down. One down has a charge of 1 over negative 1 over 3, right? So 2 over 3 plus 2 over 3 minus 1 over 3 gives you plus 1, plus 1 of charge, okay? So this is how you'll get the charge, okay? Clear? And let me just check the answer. Acha ji, most candidate could state the correct core composition of the proton. However, the significant number were unable to recall the charge on each of the quarks. It should be noted that the charge on an up quark is this and fine. बस ये वही चीज़ है सही. So ये पेपर हो गया सही. अच्छा होमवर्क सुन लो प्लीज. So you have to try November. अच्छा now you have to try all the variants, right? May June, May June 2016 and 21 and 23, right? अगर तुमने इसमें से कोई कर लिया then दोबारा करने की जरूरत नहीं है, right? And October November 2016, and you have to do 21 and 23, right? So just submit any one of the paper tomorrow, by tomorrow, and the rest should be submitted after before the next class on the next week, okay? So चलो बस बात की कहानी तो रखते हैं, अब इंशाल्लाह नेक्स्ट क्लास में देखेंगे कल कोई.
फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन निकाल सकते हैं?
सॉरी
एक
दोबारा बोलो.
मिनट, आप फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन निकाल सकते हैं एक बार?
ये वाला.
नहीं, पहला क्वेश्चन, द
ओके.
बेस यूनिट्स वन.
हम्म.
बस पिक्चर देंगे.
ये रहा.
बेस यूनिट्स.
हम्म.
बस, थैंक यू, हो गया.
हो गया.